Recording first. So it's just started, right?
Mm,
So today's agenda is what are the tips and tricks to crack the interview basically. So
okay.
the first thing is that I've already created a couple of videos on that, right?
Mm,
Previous last couple of years, yeah. So in that people do first mistake, they are not writing in the resume, but they are just copy paste in the resume
okay.
from the senior guys or some colleagues, right? They are asking
Mm,
that, hey, just share me your resume. I have just prepared my resume, but he's not reading that guy's resume. Just copy and paste the content, and the resume is shortlisted for the interview. And the time of interview, interviewer see that resume. Yeah, he's done too many things. It is mentioned in the resume, right?
yeah,
And he
yeah,
start asking the question related to that topics and that activities, and at that point of time people are thinking that I have not done this, how can I answer that, right? They are
yeah, yeah.
hesitating at point of time, so to understand that he has not done anything, right?
Mm-hmm.
So to take an interview in the confidence, we have to just write what are the activities we have performed in our real environment basically, not from the Google, not from that any colleagues resume, right? So
Mm-hmm.
that it will boost your resume as well, your confidence as well, right? We can say that I have done replication, so we can just write replication, but not all the replication. We can say that I know about the replication, but only transactional replication, right? Not merge, not peer to peer, because we cannot get that environment, right?
Yeah, yeah.
Transactional by default we can get everywhere, that is moving data from publisher to
Right.
subscriber, right?
That's yeah.
Simply,
Mm-hmm.
let's example of log shipping, right? So in log shipping we just implement log shipping. We do not, because it's no, there's no huge data, there's no bulk insert operation. So the backup copy, the log backup copy, the sorry, the backup of the log backup and copy and the restore is very smoothly, right? This is running
Yeah.
fine. You are not getting that retention period timeout, or it is taking too long time due to that network IO and all, right? So we're
Mm,
not going to troubleshooting that. That's why we see the reports, a dashboard for the log shipping, and we perform our activities, right? On the daily basis. Yeah, we see that the server is healthy now, right? So we're
yeah,
not
yeah.
going to deep dive in that to take and to see any logs basically, right?
Mm-hmm.
So according so basically we're just discussing about that resume basically. Yeah. So what we have performed actual we in the test environment or production, that is not related to that one, right? Any environment basically, if you have done R&D on that, just mention that in a resume that I have done so and so. This is a process basically where let's an example for that log shipping, right? So we have just keep the database full recovery, then take a full backup, right? We require on shared drive, SQL services running on the same account on the both the servers. Then we
Mm,
have a shared drive on which service account has permission to read the backup and copy the backup and restore the backup, right? So there's
yeah,
a
yeah.
permission part, right? So
Mm-hmm.
these are the basic steps. Then we just go to that database, right click and properties, and then we enable that backup on primary servers, then add secondaries, then go for that restore part, then where we are keeping that log backup file, and what is the secondary part, secondary database mode basically, that is in recovery or
The
we can say
standby.
that a standby mode, right? These are the keywords basically, right? So if we know that we have implemented any R&D, then we can explain about this, right?
Mm-hmm.
But if you're just doing copy and paste, then it will just this is a drawback basically for that resume, and that interviewer will think that you are not done anything, just you have done copy paste and all, right?
Yeah, yeah.
And regarding the scenario based questions, right? Scenario based questions, people ask what he has faced in his environment basically, not yours basically, sorry.
Mm,
So we cannot just we cannot fulfill his requirement, but yeah, we have to think about the technically basically, right? If there is scenario for, let's see, we have a SQL server, right?
mm,
And we are keeping the database files in different drives for the best performance, like D drive for data, L drive for log, right?
mm,
Somehow get a message that D drive is about to full, right?
mm.
And there is a condition, storage team is told that we cannot expand that D drive. There's a
Okay.
condition, it is about to full and we cannot extend that drive on fly, right?
Mm-hmm.
So we have to think accordingly, what is the best approach, what is the best way to resolve this issue in the future, right?
Mm-hmm.
if you are going for proactive maintenance, right? So we think that uh, we are not extended drive, then what is the next option? So we have a next option that there's a possibilities to add multiple secondaries file in a SQL server, right? So
Okay.
first step is that we ask Windows teams, please check the feasibility of the storage. If not, then you can add other drive
Drives.
basically, right? Other drive,
Mm,
name that whatever the free keywords basically, right? The drive
mm,
name basically, right? XYZ
mm,
whatever, right?
mm,
And then we have to just think about that the future calculation of data growth as well from the previous backup, right? What
mm,
are the backups difference basically per day, right? We are taking full backup weekly or fortnightly or daily, so we
mm,
have a backup history of that. We can just minus that from that previous one, right? And we get the that data increment basically, how what is the frequency, what is the ratio of increments on of data, right? To the
mm,
this, right? Let's see, per day 100 MB it is written on this, right? Per day
mm,
100 MB, per day 100. So we have a 365 days, right? So we
mm.
think about next 1 year, so we multiply by 365 into 100
100
MB
MB.
and divided by 1000, right? So it will come
Mm,
under GB. Then according to that, add on 10% extra or 20% extra, and we can ask that, hey, we can write data in a 1 year 1.5 TB, but I need 2 TB of storage, right?
mm,
So
mm,
just assign or attach one drive along that space is 2 TB, right?
mm, mm,
Right, 2 TB. Just hold a minute here. He's shouting at. Okay, so we ask the storage room to add 2 TB of data, right? And
mm,
then the DB activity start. So we just think about the data drive that is 2 TB, but it is in which file storage basically? Sorry, FAT32, right?
mm,
File system basically FAT32 or NTFS, right? Need
mm.
to clone file system. So we just make that drive as an NTFS file system, right? And
Okay.
then we can add one more secondary data files for that database, which is used that is reside in the D drive, right? That is going to
Mm,
be exhausted, right? So we
mm.
can add and make the primary data file as a read only, because we are not going to write data that is residing in D drive, right? That
Yeah.
may be the data file. So that data file we can make it read only, not write mode, right?
Yeah.
So we can read the data, but the next data which is coming from that application, it write in secondary data files. So this is the step to resolve that scenario based question on the behalf of that technology only. Not they can think that we are just migrating the data to 1 to B server, right? This is our
Mm,
final plan.
mm.
But in short term, we can just add a data secondary
Secondary
drive or
data.
secondary data files for that issues, right?
Mm,
Then coming to the next scenario based questions, like everyone asking for the patching, right?
mm, mm,
So patching in the sense you have get new community updates from that rdbms basically, right?
mm,
Frequently the security patches, some service pack, right?
mm.
So according to that we have to just update basically, right?
Yeah.
So we have to just process is that we have to just test on development or QA environment first
Mm,
without going by default on production, because
mm,
something different it is coming, we don't know without researching that, right? What are the updates, that is major updates or simple updates, right?
mm,
So we have
mm.
to just check that the what are the major updates in that, and then we can check the database status. It is not uh, disturbing the database performance and all. Then we can go for that production environment. So in play, that patching of activity, first we have to think about that the database backup in case any disaster, the backup plan we have, right? So we can take a full backup, differential and log before performing this patching activity. Then we open a window for that. This is the window for database patching basically. This is a week, monthly or half yearly we can perform, not on daily basis, right?
Mm,
So we have to
mm,
open this from so and so time. We are just going to perform the database patching activity, and is not available for that application using, right? So
mm.
we'll keep the database in that read only mode, or that is the services was stopped that period of time, right?
Mhm.
Because no application will connect, right? Or we can just disable that disable that user that is connecting to the application to the database, right? This is also a way basically. Let's see a dedicated server for uh, we can say that any enterprise application like Microsoft Dynamics or BizTalk, right? Yes,
Mm,
SAP, we can say that. So we can just we connect database using one connection string, right? The server name, the username, and a password that is providing the config file of that any application, right? That is
mm,
hard coded basically, right?
mm,
So if you know that this user is connecting from application to database, so that we can just disable that account that point of time, so the application will not connect with the database, right? Not
mm,
read or write any data, right? So that will also a best practices. We have to just think about this side also, and then according to the window we have to just stop the services and start patching on that. After patching, that will ask for restart, then restart that system, check the database connectivity from DBA end, like database size, all data in recovery mode basically, that is in online mode basically, that not offline suspected. You can see the status of the database, all the database, right? Means
mm,
all the online and in multi-user mode, right? Not a
mm,
single user mode, not in read write mode, right?
mm,
So read mode basically, right?
mm,
Or a standby mode. So we just check that, and then we have to just confirm that application team, hey, the database is up and running. Can you please check from your side your application is able to connect or not, right? You are
yeah,
able to read the data or not, right?
yeah.
So this is the step basically, right? But
Mm,
just you cannot say different way. Basically, this is the approach basically, right?
okay, okay.
When any DBA or application team perform the activity on the patching part, right?
Mm,
Then
mm,
part of upgrade. This is a scenario based question, not a technical question. Basically, scenario based. Let's say you are working as a TL or manager, planning for upgrading or upgrading the system, right?
mm, mm,
So upgrading a system, two things: in place or parallel, right? There are two
mm,
things for upgrade: in place or parallel.
parallel.
So in place we perform when we have sufficient resources.
Mm, mm,
Means in couple of years we are writing data, it is not going to be a bottleneck and all, right?
mm,
So you are go for the in place. So for, let's example for in place first, right? So
mm.
for in place, simply just what we are doing for patching na, we just do that thing only, right?
Upgrade, yeah.
We have to just stop the services, intimate application team, stop all the disable all the accounts that is connecting to databases, right?
Mm,
Stop,
mm,
stop sorry, stop the services all. And then we have to just decide which version or which edition we are going to install. And you can just start simple installation, or we have a wizard for that. We go to that exe and see that upgrade part, right?
mm,
Upgrading from lower version to upper version, right? So we
mm,
click that steps, and there is next step, and you can finish that one. And after that, restart the system first. Yeah. So after, you can see that the version is upgraded, right? You can check
mm.
a snapshot of previous and after upgrade, right? So you
Yeah,
can
yeah.
comparison that what we have done, right?
Mm,
Then the part of data validation, right? So enable the services or make it runnable services, and then we can check that database connectivity and database size, database tables, any corruption or not, right?
mm.
And then ask application team to validate.
Okay.
After validation, we can just drop an email, the upgrade activity is successfully, right?
Successful. Yeah.
In case any disaster, just you have to take a backup. You have already backup, then you can just repair that
Restore.
or restore
Yeah.
that on that
Yeah.
database that is facing that issues, right?
Mm-hmm.
So coming to the next, that is parallel upgrade, right? So parallel
Mm,
upgrade we do when we don't have resource on present database server, right? Means we
mm,
cannot upgrade the hardwares, right? This is
mm,
not feasible, not supporting the operating system and the rdbms systems, right? Whatever we have, that is Oracle DB2, whatever, right? MySQL,
mm,
MySQL.
mm,
So that is not depend on rdbms, right? This is depend on Windows part basically. Because Windows support on that hardware basically, right?
mm.
CPU, RAM, and storage, right?
Okay.
So if this is not feasible to add RAM or CPU, then we just go for the new environment, basically the high end server. We can configure that, and we can just think about the same operating system, same rdbms, or you are also going to upgrade that OS level or database level, right?
Mm.
It is a plan of parallel upgrade. So first we are going for hardware upgrade, then OS, and then rdbms, right? So for rdbms, being a db, the thing about that future plan accordingly, right? Then
Mm,
come to the part of the database growth, the number of concurrent users. So
mm,
according to that, we have to assign processor and RAM and the storage.
mm,
And you can build a separate instance for that existing one, and then we plan for the zero downtime or any feasibility for half an hour. Then accordingly we have to implement the rdbm, sorry, dr services, dr solutions, or hadr solutions, right?
mm,
If client is agree with that, we can bear out that half an hour downtime, then you can go for the log shipping or mirroring or whatever, right? But
Yeah.
it is saying that no, I'm not going to down my application. This is very critical enterprise application or e-commerce, basically online process,
Mhm.
online application. So we can just think about that high abilities with that failover basically. So milliseconds or second will take to failover that system from that uh, existing primary to upgraded server, right? And
Okay.
you can
Okay.
validate, we can route that application settings for that new server, and you can check the connectivity, the
Mm,
data, how we are read or not, and then we go ahead, or we keep 1 day for the testing purpose.
mm, mm.
If application team say that yeah, go ahead, we have done everything tested from our side, we are getting all the data along with the best performance than previous, then you can drop an email that hey, we have done the successfully the migration parallel upgrade of the database servers,
Mm, mm.
right?
Yeah.
So this is a measure. And regarding that connectivity, the simple one, basically we have to see the port and all, right?
Mm.
Anything else it is in your mind for scenario based questions so you can discuss, because this is a very frequent we think, right?
Yeah. So they'll ask for if log shipping is there, not log shipping. Yeah. Replication or always on.
Mhm.
Uh, the most questions ask for test cases, like if the secondary is not available, not online, then
Mhm.
how we'll approach in a in a uh, uh, in a replication, and
Yes.
also in a, yeah,
Mhm.
and
So
also
basically regarding that replication, we have just think about that subscriber, right? That the second
yeah.
is not available means something network problem.
Mm.
Yeah, just the system is down, right? So we
Mm.
just check the connect any dr service says any you're getting an error, first step is that we have to check the connectivity, server up and running or not, right?
Okay.
Then we think about the database, then we have to think about the objects.
Mm.
This is a process. So in case,
Mm.
let's example, in case you find that service is up and running,
Mm.
right, but this is data is not replicating, means
Mm.
something wrong, right? Maybe
Yeah.
the agent is not running, or the account which is assigned to run that jobs basically, that account is logged out. Maybe the possibilities because it is logged that it will not perform an activity.
Mm. Mm.
See, right? So we have to check out that is this service account is logged out or not. So we have to ask AD team basically, right?
Okay.
Active Directory Services, right? So
Mm.
there's a AD team or network team who can help out on this service account part, right? So you can say that we have checked this, and now it's up and running, right?
Yeah.
Any other possibilities? In my sense, I don't think secondary will be goes down and not working, right?
Mm.
Somehow in rep HADR, right?
Mm.
Always on.
Always.
Secondary is not available, or secondary is not uh, sync basically, right? So
Mm.
not in sync means you are sending packets frequently, and due to network, due to the IO, you are not able to write the data on the secondary.
Mm.
So server A or server B is not in sync, means
Okay.
not synchronized. If you see the dashboard, you will see the lacking basically, right? The redo rate or something that increased that point of time. So there's a DMB for that exe sorry sys.dm and exhadr underscore secondaries, right? In
Mm.
that there's a column we have to just check out that the redo rate or something queue rate, right? Queue length
Yeah.
basically, right? What are the queue length for that?
Mm.
So it is happen when we do some bulk insert operation on primary servers and you generate a huge amount of logs,
Okay. Okay.
and is not transferring at point of time, just taking time to travel from the network. This is a
Mm.
network chalk up or network traffic. We use amount don't have too much bandwidth to copy this data, 1 TB or 50 500 GB of data. So you get that type of error. So we have just wait for the syncing. We can
Mm.
just do monitoring, keep the monitoring on that, because it is a normal process. Because if second is not up, not synchronized, then we are not able to write the data, not we get the healthy environment for the HADR,
Okay.
right? There
Mm.
are different way. we can say that we have to just think about the database recovery model, right? If you are
Mm,
getting frequently this type of uh, errors or logs or alerts basically, right?
mm,
So see the scenario based how much data we are reading, writing, the ratio of that read and write, right?
mm,
Modify, right?
mm.
According to that you have to just keep the database recovery model
Okay.
simply.
It's like bulk log.
Bulk
Bulk,
log full basically.
bulk.
If there's not, then we just think about it, how we are writing a data, then we can ask to application team that not write a huge amount of data, just write in a batch basically, right?
Mm,
1000 to 10,000 of batches basically, right?
mm,
You can create that batch, you call that cmd command and you inserting that 0 to 1000 to 10,000, right?
mm.
10,001 to 1 lakh, right? In the batch you can call that transactions and insert the data basically, right? So
Okay.
that is a way basically you can optimize this errors, and we can say that alerts and all.
Okay. And questions will be like a users issues also, like if always on is there, a primary side users, how they will synchronous with secondary.
Secondary, so previously we are just doing that, just we have just created all these things, right? But we have a intent, not intent, we can say that content db, right? These are
Mm,
feature of content db that is helping in the migration part, right? You can install and you can get all the details of the users and replicate it on that dr side. So content db you can use that, but syncing of users in the sense I have not seen, but yeah, there's an option like you cannot moving all the users, right? Because you are not syncing the primary database, right? Because
mm.
all the logins reside on that master
Primary
db, right?
master to be,
Master
yeah.
db, so you're not keeping this system db not a part of any high abilities, right? Any
Mm,
hadr. So you have to just think about it, what are the application users you have to just create manually, and before keeping that in that asynchronous or synchronous database, you have to just map that one, or we can just provide the sid when we creating the logins or users na, create
mm.
along with the SID on that primary system.
Okay.
So that will help you to create that and map that user for read and write. And you have to also think about that if you're reading the second reason, you have a pass the application name is read intent on basically, right?
Mm-hmm.
While connecting the databases for the second, there's an option for the read intent. Okay.
Okay.
So read intent true you keeping or on you are keeping that, it will allow to connect with the secondary databases. Else you are not able to connect. You get an error, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yes. And next,
Like troubleshooting part, like in always on in replication mirror. If suddenly a replicas, I mean, in always on primary replica fails, how we can approach the best troubleshooting part?
see
How?
any HADR or DR failure, right?
Yeah,
That is totally depend on the network,
network.
shared drive, and basically we can say the hardware failure.
Mm-hmm.
Automatic failure done on that we can say that hardware failure. Let's see if I have clustering and you have enabled quorum with that majority of node on, right? So it will
Okay.
check the majority of node every time, calling that, right? Window entry services calling that these are a host that is a part of cluster is up and running or not.
Okay.
So that will, if the server goes down, other number of server is not up and running in that network or that cluster, then it will fluctuating the clustering, mean doing failover, right?
Mm-hmm.
So that is a scenario. Simple way that is a hardware failure, network failure, we can say that. Because in log shipping we do manual failover, right?
Mm-hmm.
But in CL log shipping we have a shared drive, right?
Yeah, yeah.
And somehow someone stop not enable the firewall and off set off for all the ports basically 133 138 139 445, then you are not able to read or write the data from the shared network, right?
Mm-hmm.
So that will a human error, and you just find out why it is not able to copy the file, right?
Mm-hmm.
And what is the speed, what is the network bandwidth for that, right? So you just do manual copy and paste and see that what is happening or not, right?
Mm-hmm.
So except log shipping, you have a network failure issue, right? Simply
It's
means
okay.
you are providing the listener name, right? In a mirroring, we have a endpoints, right? The IP
Mm.
number, IP addresses, and port number, right?
Mm.
So 5021, 5022, right? This is a
Okay.
mirroring port number, right? You have to just remember that the port number, and this is disabled. So how will the database will communicate to each other, right?
Mm. Mm.
So you just think the scenario. How can we implement it? So any error possibilities of that bridging, there is a problem in that configuration part.
Mm.
Let's see, if you are traveling from Bangalore to Mumbai, we have a waterway, airway, and
Road.
roadway,
Yes.
right? Land on two, roadway and railway, right?
Mm.
So you think about the task basically, how critical your task is. If it's
Mm.
normal, you go with the roadway or railway,
Railway.
right? Or waterways, right? But it is a critical, you think about it, we have to reach as soon as possible, right?
Mm.
So in networking, we say that OSPF,
Mm.
open shortest path, right? So open shortest path help you to reach to the destination faster. Now Google is doing the same thing. Google Map. When you open the Google Map and some search destination and travel time, it will show you the open shortest path. That is, this is the way you go via this route. You reach in 15 minutes, or
Mm.
you are go with the B route. You go with reach in the 20 minutes. So you think, I am saving 5 minutes, right? We go
Yeah.
with the A route, right?
Mm.
So just you have to just think about this, ki how your data is, what is the data flow basically, right? How it is moving the data from one source to another source. What is the medium basically? If this is a breeze basically, like we have a shared folder, some endpoints, right?
Mm.
So focus on that. Why they are not communicating to each other, A or B server, right?
Mm.
That is a solution. Maybe the domain account disabled, maybe someone played with the firewall or the routers, if they have different networks, right? In always on, we are geo replication we are doing, right?
Mm.
Geo replication, multi subnets.
Mm.
So if you think about the multi subnets, many things, right? Too many different networks. So maybe there's some firewall problem, some routers problem, maybe the ISP down, right?
Mm.
So these are the possibilities. So we have to think of the basically the architecture of that HADR or DR services to resolve that issues. Basically, the part of troubleshooting.
Okay.
Or simply, if everything is fine, then we have a system DMB, system catalog, system views, system procedure. You can fetch the reports, right? You fetch the data. What is lacking here, right? What is the threshold here, right? And
Mm.
according to that settings, you have to just calculate, and according to log, we have to just decide what we have to perform here.
Mm.
You cannot say definitely this is a this table logged and table uh, logged for long time, and we generated too much log, right? And it is
Mm.
not replicating in databases.
Okay.
You should just find out the actual error basically, right? Why it
Mm.
is not happening on regular basis, right?
Okay.
You can see that LSNs, you can see the last log file, previous restore files, right? Any
Mm.
mismatch in that, right?
Mm.
Someone break the LSN for performing an activity, someone alter the databases, maybe possibilities. If any alter data is altered, then everything break, right? The
Mm.
backup, then high abilities, any DR services, destroyed everything.
Okay.
So you just think about all the perspectives, right? Any alter command will impact the performance and the HADR activities, except that alter index command, right?
Okay.
But if you're performing database level alter command, you're renaming the databases, you have just alter that database and add something different, that
Mm.
you have add one secondary files, right?
Mm.
So in HADR, it secondary not knows you have written multiple files here.
Mm.
It will throw an error.
Mm.
So we just add the secondary files on the secondary node as well, and you have to resync that always on. Simply. So you just think about all the perspectives about the design basically. For troubleshooting part, you just think about the design only,
Mm.
nothing else. Then monitoring, you can think that. So monitoring, for monitoring we have to command on that system views, system dmbs, system procedures, because system catalogs, right?
Mm,
Information schema, we can say that, right? In oracle or mysql, we have a system schema basically, right? We can
mm,
get the details from there. In oracle we have sorry, in pgsql, system catalog, system views, right?
mm, mm,
System tables, you can that, think about this. Then we have many extension for that monitoring and troubleshooting. If you enable that, you can get that. In sql server we have traces, dmbs, procedure, view, functions. You can find out all the details, right? Some
mm,
server level reports, some database level reports. You can see the dashboards as well, right? There's a wait type, latches, some cache hit ratios. This is many things in that, right?
okay, okay.
Or we can say that for performance tuning, we have also, you have depend on that dmbs and system views and system functions, right? And
Mm,
how we are doing the modifications and delete operations on the object level, right?
yeah.
If you are modifying pages very frequently, means these are fragmentation on the page level, index level, right?
Mm, mm,
So you have to defrag that. So you can just schedule a activity. If it's not very frequently, then do manually.
mhm,
A small tables. You cannot alter a huge table at a time, right? You can just do index y index, not on table level, because we can write a command like alter index all on the table, right? Means whatever
mm,
the index is on the table will be revealed, right?
yeah, yeah.
But if it is for small tables, but it is a huge table, then you can just write index, alter index name, revealed on the table, basically index name on the table with the fill factors, with that other online mode or max degree of we can set up parameters for
Mm,
boosting that query performance basically, right? There are too many options inside that we can write or say that regarding that, right?
mm,
So we have discussed till now the resume part. Just write what you know, right? Second thing, the architecture wise, we have to just answer that, right? We cannot blindly answer anything, right?
mm,
And for troubleshooting part, we have to focus on that architecture and dmvs, system procedure, functions, views, whatever we have, right?
okay.
It will help in troubleshooting as well as performance tuning. If you see someone, there's a quote basically, we can say that, right, the great speaker is a great listener too, right?
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
So on that way basically, right? If you think on the basis of that, right? So you have to just monitoring the system first. If you are doing monitoring in very well, right, you remember all the dmbs and views and functions, then you can troubleshooting as well, right? Because you
Okay.
can find out the root cause where it is, right? Using that with dmbs, views and system procedures, right? And also it will, you can do that performance tuning as well, because you can get the stats of the database, it get the stats of objects, right? And on the behalf of that report, you can take a decision to tune the databases and queries.
Okay.
Yeah. So from a DBA, I just think that a good DBA is who can monitor data properly.
Mm-hmm.
He can pinpoint that error basically. You can just fire this select a statement from this table or view and get the reports and think about the data, and then take a decision. Here we have to just take work on this part only, right? Else you're just doing Google and get multiple queries and running on the servers and getting the outputs. It's too confusing basically, right? Everyone
Yeah.
writing the query as per their experience, not as per your environment. It's
Mm-hmm.
not environment specific. This is one that is, we can say that it is dedicated to that, the environment is configured by that guy only, right?
Mm-hmm.
What is the ram, what is the cpu, what is that data set structure, what is the schema there, right? It is
Yeah.
normalized, is it not denormalized, right? It is follow
Mm-hmm.
the acid property or not, right? ef
Mm-hmm.
code, right?
Mm-hmm.
Then r modeling. So this is totally impacting the data's performance and troubleshooting part thing, right? So just focus on all these things.
Okay. Okay.
If we are not focusing, then we cannot answer the questions, right?
Mm-hmm.
So this is generic one, right? But let's see, let's have an example. I am a intro, right? And I have a many servers and many rdbms in my environment.
Mm,
So I think that the guy who can be hired in my team has knowledge of multiple rdbms basically, right?
mm,
Multitasking guys, right?
mm.
So we can say that we are thinking like that, but will we get that guys like is perfect in multiple databases? Not possible. Every dba has a one primary skills, right?
Mm.
Oracle, DB2, HANA, MS SQL, Postgres. Little bit on secondary, like he can do L1 level support, user creation, backup and restore, little bit monitoring. But troubleshooting and performance tuning cannot be done by everyone as a
Everyone.
secondary DB, right? So we will just think about this also. If you're
Mm,
asking about your secondary database, you can just say that, hey, I'm just doing L1 level support in that weekend time or anyone on leave basically. I'm not dedicated for this rdbms. But yeah,
mhm,
my SQL or MS SQL is my primary skills. You can ask questions from this side, so I can answer on that,
mhm, mhm.
right?
Yeah.
So this is the way. Anything else? Done. Basically, we are not writing any script, no. That's right.
Yeah,
If we
yeah.
have a script, then we can start accordingly. But yeah, I just show you that resume part, monitoring, troubleshooting, and performance tuning.
Mhm.
These are the part basically, right? So we have to just focus on this only, that how we are in that, right? How
Mhm.
capable or how we have remember all this DMB's procedure and function, how frequently we are using that one, right?
Yeah, yeah.
If I'm not using, then I have to just capable to explain that we are get this data from this DMB and focusing on this column. We get this call data and then we decide to work on the troubleshooting part, right? Performance tuning part, right?
Mhm.
Let's say example, we are fired that we are seeing that many concurrent connection is increasing on databases. So how can you find that? We have a connections, DMB connections, sessions and requests, right? We can make a join between threes and we can get the count and parallel executions and all, right? How long they are using network and from where they are connecting, right?
Yeah,
Then
yeah.
you can decide that how can we optimize the server level configuration and all, right?
Mhm, mhm.
So that is the things. If you have a question, you can ask. Then you can try to answer that, or we can wrap that. I
Yeah.
think I'm feeling.
Yeah, I understood.
Yeah, since 9:30, I'm getting call basically or message for the
Oh,
patching. Yeah.
oh, okay, 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 okay. Then you carry on with